Hey, welcome back. Listen, I've never really given this a whole lot of thought, but I've run into probably 2 to 5 different cases of people that are relocating to Flower Mound or to the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And one of their first questions was, do I need to have a car? I've lived here all my life and never even gave that a second thought because yes, we have the Dallas area rapid transit system, but it's not that great. And a lot of those deals, they start at downtown, they go out to wherever they're going to, and then they have to go back downtown. When they started building that thing, I don't know how many years ago, maybe 30 years ago. First of all, it was outdated when they built it. Second of all, to me, second of all, it doesn't offer like a cross town service. So it's not an easy deal to go from east to west easily. You have to a lot of times go downtown to connect. So if you're seriously considering moving to Flower Mound, I mean that, or anywhere in the DFW area, that's something that you really need to give some thought to, because I know that, like I said, I worked with a couple of people at one point. One was from Boston, one was from the New York area, and we cut our tour short because they were not going to purchase a car. Now, had they, before they even came down here to go and tour homes, it was not really a question that was something that I was going to ask, because that's not really something that's on my radar. But if you're coming from Chicago, I've got family up in Chicago or New York, the Boston area, parts on the Eastern Seaboard, they have a great system for trains and stuff. And I love using trains if I can. But in Flower Mound, number one, we don't have a bus line. Number two, we're not part of that rapid transit deal. So if you want to pick up the train, you got to drive over to Louisville, which is on the east side. And, I don't know that they even run that often. But here's the deal. If you're going to do daily commutes, and you do have to have a car, because you really do need to have a car, Flower Mound has got a strategic location on the north side, right? Between Dallas and Fort Worth, on the north side of DFW Airport. So, there's a lot of major employment hubs. There's Las Colinas, South Lake, Grapevine, Capel, and that's all in the DFW corridor. So, like, if you live here in Flower Mound, it's probably going to be a 15 to 20 minute drive, maybe 30 tops, super tops, to DFW. If you want to go to the Las Colinas area, which is Las Colinas Irving, which is on the east from where we are here, that could be like 25 to 35 minutes. If you want to go to downtown Dallas, that can be anywhere from 45 minutes to over an hour. It just depends. There's a couple of different arteries that you can get in there by, but it can be a tough deal depending on what part of the day. And the same goes for downtown Fort Worth. I mean, you have 35 west that you can go to downtown Fort Worth, but I'm telling you, that's kind of a beating every day. During rush hours, you've got Highway 121 that kind of works east-west, 114 and 635. Those all run east-west, but they get really busy, especially near Grapevine and Capel. And I mean, it's still kind of manageable if you're kind of staying up in this area where we are in Flower Mound and you're kind of doing your business around here. But when you start having to go into Fort Worth and Dallas, I mean, you're going to experience some gridlock and congestion. It's really, like I said, the people, there was one other person from San Francisco that I remember dealing with that cut our deal short. So Chicago, New York, San Francisco, right? I mean, they all have great transportation systems. Like I said, public transit in Dallas, it's minimal. You don't want to do it. In fact, there was a news story that came out a couple of days ago. We're in November 2025, where there's a couple of towns. Each town that the train goes through has to give a portion of their sales tax money to this train. Well, they're not feeling like they're getting the service that they want, or it's proportionate or anything, and they're talking about pulling out of the whole deal. So that's something to watch the news on and just kind of stay tuned. Ride sharing, I don't know how common that is. I'm not familiar with it. It's not something that I've ever done. But if you drive around Flower Mound or Dallas or Fort Worth or anything, you're going to see like 2 to 5 different cars or vehicles of people with the kids. The kids have the cars. I mean, my neighbors have 4 cars on one side. The other one has 2. You know, it's kind of the way it is in Texas. But you do have a lot of major roads and a lot of accessibility from Flower Mound. 2499 Long Prairie Road, they call it FM, Farm to Market. 2499 runs north-south, and it's a town's main artery. And it connects up to Grapevine or on 35. It goes all the way up to 35 if you go north through Highland Village. So that's one of the best arteries for us. The other one, you know, Highway 121, which they call the Sam Rayburn Tollway, is kind of the east-west connector between Plano, Frisco, and the DFW Airport. 114, which is great. It's got direct access to Fort Worth or Dallas or to Las Colinas. And then, so you have Interstate 35. And down south is Henderson. And that's where it divides up between east and west. And then it comes back together in Denton. So you have I-35 east or west, and Flower Mound's like right in the middle between the two. From where I am in Flower Mound, it's probably 15, 20 minutes to, well, either side, actually. I mean, we're kind of like right dead in the middle. And that's kind of the way Flower Mound is. The biggest wonderful deal for me and for a lot of people that I run into is the proximity to DFW and the ease that you can go into that north side of DFW. Yeah, you need a car. If you live in Dallas, you can take the train to DFW, but man, that's like a beatdown. I mean, it can take you over an hour, and the same on the Fort Worth side because there's tons of stops. But to answer your question, yeah, you pretty much need to have a car. And I mean, the takeaway from all this is, yes, you have to get a car, but the access to everything that you probably want to get to is very attainable from Flower Mound, Fort Worth, Dallas. You can, if you want to pay a toll, you can go straight through the airport and start going toward the south side of the airport. But, you know, the payoff of the whole Flower Mound deal is you're going to get more for your money. You're going to have shorter trips to the airport. The neighborhoods are peaceful. You know, this is an area that makes the drive worth it. If you have any questions, please let me know. My name is Chris Hooper with Chris Hooper Realty. I'm going to see you next time.